Hi everyone, Mystic Muse here, live, and today is Friday again, and this is our Mystic Muse Live Metaphysical Chat, and I'm Deborah Christie Love.
And I'm David Shepard Love. Welcome everybody. This is going to be an exciting show because Earth changes are coming at us fast and furious. So great to already see a few people popping in there, and welcome everybody.
Yes. So yeah, oh hi Eric. Nice to see some regulars showing up. Yeah, lots of changes, energy, shifts, full moons, all kinds of things have happened, and I think everybody's feeling it on some level. I know I've been feeling my dizziness from last week's been better, but there's other things still, the eating and different symptoms, just trying to assimilate all that energy coming in. How about you?
Well, it's been a very interesting week. Just for myself, I talk to a lot of people around the world, and it seems like every day we can go through cycles of up and down, and all around is my new cliche. I think that's probably a song or something, and where those words came from, but it sure sounds like we're put right in the middle of this song. You know, you can wake up sad, and then an hour later you'll be happy, maybe an hour after that you'll be ecstatic, and then it's back to sad again, and you just never really know what you're going to get. Hopefully a little bit of meditation and calming of the mind, getting out in nature is going to be an assistance to people.
I think it does help a lot. Yeah, I know I've been back and forth so many times too, and then there's those things too where you have to get centered and think, is this all mine? Am I feeling just what's going on everywhere around me? Is this all my stuff? And get back to centered, and I try to stay here and now, and that usually brings me back to center and makes me feel happier again. If I can just stay in this present moment, we don't have to go beyond where we're at, and it helps me stay centered and feel better. I don't know about you, but
that sounds good. Speaking of center, I was looking at our camera.
Maybe you need to come this way.
We're trying to. Well, I think we attempted to get a little bit less of the ceiling in there. Not sure we got there, but now I think the whole stand's going to probably go tumbling. So maybe getting some ups and downs and all arounds in our stage today.
I hope not. That tape will hold, hopefully.
Yeah. So, what's new in your world? There it goes.
It's going.
Going.
To lean you back.
Bring this out again.
There we go. Well, that's too far.
It is.
We have a plate. There we go.
Okay, back to our original plan.
Yeah.
So, you were saying?
I was saying I try to stay present in the moment, and that helps me stay centered at most of the time if I can do that, and have that meditation time, even if it's just 20 minutes, 15 minutes, to just center and gather my thoughts and determine how I'm feeling and make sure it's not just picking up everything around me.
That's good. I do want to welcome our guests. I saw Eric's there. There's somebody else there. Actually, 3 people that we know about, and we don't always know. Sometimes there can be 20 people watching, and this program just doesn't let us know. So welcome everybody. This is a comment-driven show. So if you do have any comments, any questions, anything that you'd like to direct us towards, psychic messages, just about anything going on in your life, we'd be glad to tune in for you, and whether psychically or just give you what we feel about it. Both of us have many decades of experience as psychics, mystics, and the like. I know you've had over 500 lifetimes, and I don't know where I'm at. I'd like to get around to saying this is my first time around. So
I hardly think so.
So.
Not quite.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. In any case, welcome everybody. And if you do have any questions, I think we're happy to address them. And sometimes we don't always have enough going on without going to our cue cards or books and the like to help keep the conversation going.
But that's okay. That's what we're here for. So I'm just going to hold up my book. It is There is Love, My Near-Death Experience and Beyond. And so near-death experience and the other side has played a big part in my life. And so just to know what I've written, and that's what, you can ask a lot of questions about for me. And yeah, I think that my experience was meant to share eventually. I didn't remember it all. It happened when I was very young. And now that the book's written, I know that the message is really meant for the world, that there's no such thing as death, and we move on to wonderful and better things, and that it really eliminates the fear of death. And when we can do that, we can find a lot more joy and happiness in our life here, because that fear is no longer there, and it's such a big one for people around the world. I belong to groups here on Facebook, and there's so many people that say, oh, I'm so afraid of death, and it's really not necessary. There's no such thing as death. We're going to exist in some form or other for eternity, so there should be no fear around that.
Well, and that's a lot easier said than done. The whole world is living around fear right now, and certainly not everybody. I think the maskers and the unmaskers are starting to make that real clear. Who is more afraid of death and who isn't. I find people that are more free-flowing, more free-spirited, more into the moment, don't really fear death a lot, and they're they may be getting bombarded by the news stations out there saying that fear up, folks, death is imminent if you go out without your mask, and I think we all know that so much of that is an illusion, driven by the Illuminati and their plan to make us live in fear so that they can have ultimate control over the world. Well, these are big changes going on in the earth right now, and we're taking our planet back. We're taking our people back. We're looking at feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, housing the homeless, the typical parallels for peace. And this is what it's all about. No longer are millions of people dying from starvation around the world is acceptable. And while maybe hundreds are dying from this fake flu type of pandemic, as they call it. I don't even know the words. I just like to make fun of it pretty much, because I know it's all just an illusion, and a lot of people get upset about me that are living in fear and that motivation. But it's time for all of us to grow up and see the light. This is our time of the new beginning. This is the time that the Rainbow Promise is going to be fulfilled here on Earth, and so. Just keep your hope and your faith alive, and knowing that all is going to work just as it's planned.
That's so true, and I think there is flus out there, but there's always been flus out there, and I don't think this year's worse than any other. In fact, I think I've read something about the overall death toll for the year pretty much being less than the last 2 years. So even with this pandemic, as they call it, or plandemic.
That was what it was.
It's really no worse than any other year where we haven't shut down the world. So we don't really need to live in fear. It's no worse than any other time. Not saying that that's a good thing, but we just need to work on our own health, our own immunity, and that's natural, and that involves breathing fresh air and being free in our heart and mind. So. Yeah, I think there's all kinds of things, but there's always been all kinds of things out there, and we have to not fear them. We just have to know this is part of life, and life does have a cycle here, but it goes on. It goes on to somewhere better, and the world is changing, and we're trying to make it better. So some of these things, like you mentioned, the hunger, don't exist anymore. There's no reason for that. There's a cure for that. It's called food. It's called sharing. It's called, less greed in the world. So we can do a lot of things by having less fear and being less distracted by these things that are dividing us. We need to unify and not be divided by masks or no masks, or political parties, or Black Lives Matter. You know, all lives matter. Every life matters. We shouldn't be divided in any way with some of these concepts, and they're all just diversions to get us fighting among ourselves, and we have to wake up to that.
Yeah, there's a big wake-up call going on. I'm very much into the rainbow. Actually, I've studied it all my life since I was in my early 20s, and the philosophy behind that is about unity. It's about all the colors working together as one. So I encourage people to follow nature. If you can't find the answers on mainstream media, then follow nature. And nature, at least in the light spectrum, is telling us that it all works together as one. There may be many colors out there, many diversities, many different ways and talks of life, many philosophies, and even ways to God or source or universe, whatever you want to call it. There's many ways out there, and we need to start looking at people and honoring their heart path, finding the love for who they are and their own path without trying to cast aspersions on that, because really we're all working together as one. It's so important that we adapt that philosophy here on Earth, and I think we're really doing a great bang-up job of it so far, mainstream media not included, or Illuminati. But you know, people's hearts are opening up, consciousness is opening up. Just amazingly at this time, that there's more peace groups, tens of thousands of peace groups that have been developed over the last few decades, where you know, 20, 30 years ago that there was maybe hundreds of peace groups. So you know, it's all coming together in really magnificent ways. That people are fed up, that the children are just not going to follow along with this system. Surprise, you know, the old world system, the crumbling world system, is just not anything that can be followed or utilized. People are so much wiser and more intelligent than that. The children are fully awakened. Their DNA strands are spinning at just amazing levels, and it's just, you know, it's really quite a beautiful world out there when you start delving into the positive side of what's going on.
Yes, we have to look for the truth ourselves. We're not going to find it on television anymore. There's so many good things going on, so many breakthroughs and truth coming out that's not being reported. And that's where we have to look to other sources, look to what's going on around you, look to, you know, other sources and other medias, because the TV isn't doing it anymore. In fact, they are subduing it, and you know, when there's protests with millions of people, they're not even covering things like that. So there's more going on than we think out there, and it's a search for our own truth.
That's good. Well, I think we should do a card or use one of our other medias here.
Okay, this week we have the Earth Wisdom Oracle deck, and this is a really beautiful Celtic deck.
It's there.
And who's this by? It is by Barbara Moore.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, really beautiful artistry on this deck, and they're very slippery too, I noticed. Asking for a message to be relevant to all of our viewers for the next week, upcoming week. What does the energy have in store for us? Let's see what that is. Might take a minute here. Well, okay. Let's see. Is this the right card? No. Oh, is this the right card? Yeah. Okay. This is the Boundaries card. Beautiful artwork on there. And boundaries. Sometimes we think of boundaries and think, you know, that could be a negative concept, but when they're boundaries that we create for ourselves, it puts us back in charge, in the driver's seat, and choosing the things that we want to do over the things we don't want to do. So having boundaries, and sometimes saying no to people, saying no to ideas that we don't feel we want to participate in, and that's where we can have those boundaries. As I was talking about the news earlier, we can tune out certain news that doesn't resonate with us, and we can tune into what does resonate with us. And this is all about setting up our own boundaries so that our life can be a happier, more joyful place for us.
Well, that's very, very true. I'm not actually a big boundaries guy, but I know that when it comes to self protection, self love, self care, we need to set some boundaries. There is a lot of toxicity out there, whether it's people, places, or things. We need to always be aware. I think as we open our consciousness to the light and to love and start loving each other, these boundaries become a lot clearer. The toxicity that's out there becomes unbearable. The thing comes to mind is all the violence that is on TV, whereas years ago maybe you could tolerate that, but as we become more enlightened, more awakened, these things would become very sensitive to. So, and this sensitivity is a boundary that we set. We're no longer going to engage in the toxicity of people or certain types of media or certain types of food. So we start setting these boundaries for our own self-care, our own self-love, and as we begin to dwell in that reality, we're going to be a lot more effective as peace people, to go out and connect with people and just not get swept up in the ugliness there, but to actually see the beauty that is even in the midst of the storm. Sometimes there is beauty there, but we do have to be aware that there are a lot of confusion out there as well, and this is what we set our boundaries with. But at the same time, while I'm on boundaries, always keep your heart open, because just because something may look ugly or disgusting even, it doesn't mean that there's not a call for your light or your being to be in the middle of that process. So, go fearlessly. Don't live in fear, even though there may be some things that need correcting out there. These are what peace people are all about, is the ability to go out there and make changes. So,
it's a nice card, and we do get to choose our path that way. I'm very sensitive anymore. I can't watch a lot of things on Netflix or TV anymore that I just don't want to be involved in watching any of the violence. Yes, it's very limiting. I have to be choosy about what I watch, but I find I'm happier doing that. And it's the same with anything, like you mentioned, diet, all kinds of other things that we can just choose for ourselves and make wiser choices and steer ourselves in better directions.
Very good. So we'll go ahead and do a card. I'm a rainbowologist, have been all of my life. Back in 1983, there was a lot of very interesting signs and wonders in my life that spoke to me and allowed me to know that consciousness is alive, that we are actually the center of this consciousness and make our own reality. And these promises led me to a very strong connection to understanding the rainbow on very intimate levels. It's the number one reason why this book here, The Rainbow Connection. Apologize for the reverse wording, but you kind of get the gist of it there. Gen Z in the universal language of light. So these cards that I just drew a card out of is a great study cards for a course called Rainbow Bridge I did back in the 90s. Still very relevant to where we're at right now. And so our magic card today says, show connection between Logos Circle 7 to Revelation 4 and Ezekiel chapter 1. That is a lot of connections.
That's a lot of information.
But that is actually the foundational
That's pretty
stone.
vague.
When we start with the Logos Circle 7, also known as the Revelation 4 diagram, we get very quickly into what the rainbow equation is all about. There are 7 parts to the rainbow equation, and the Logos Circle 7, also called Revelation 4 diagram, is the circular depiction of that on a diagram, on a two-dimensional level, a diagram level. And this is actually a picture of Revelation 4 diagram right there. so you can take a look at that, and you'll, if you go to the book of Revelation chapter 4, you'll begin to see that there is an emerald ring that encircles the throne. The throne is actually the center of there. You'll notice that there are 7 interlinking circles here. You also notice that they talk about the 4 beasts that extend in 4 direction, and that's those 4 outer circles that you see there. It also talks about 24 elders surrounding the throne. There's 24 elders there. So there's quite a few connections into Revelation chapter 4 and this diagram. And I actually went through them very quickly. I invite anybody that can get a hold of the Living Bible, as opposed to some of the more modern texts that have been greatly altered. But if you get a hold of the rendition that's called the Living Bible, maybe you can look it up on the internet. It's getting pretty hard to find in print anymore. You'll begin to take this diagram and look at all the many connections. There's about 20 different specific connections there. St. John was a prophet that understood that the rainbow on the most intimate levels, the sacred geometry behind the rainbow, the earth changes, and all of these connections that are going on. Revelation is actually a very positive book, as is Ezekiel 1, another great prophet, which also goes into some very specific descriptions of how Revelation 4 diagram flows upon the universal matrix of the universe. These are building stones of the universe. So I invite anybody to get to, if you want to know the deeper mysteries and magic of the rainbow, start delving into the sacred geometry behind it, into the prophecy behind it. Of course, my book and my lifelong work goes very deeply into these. You can get a lot of answers over at rainbowequation.com, or also rainbow.guru is going to give you a lot of answers. There's a lot of quotes there, and both of those will talk in great detail about really a plethora of rainbow connections written right there in Revelation 4 and also in Ezekiel 1. So very exciting times that we're living in now. If we follow the rainbow, we're gonna find that promise that we've all been looking for.
Yeah, I like that diagram. I think it's my favorite one because, as in Revelation 4, it shows that we are at the center. It really is the pathway home to who we really are. That part of God that is on the throne, and we all are part of that. We are all kind of a piece of that energy, that same God energy. And when we look to our source, which is within us, we can see how that diagram fits in. So it's always been one of my favorite messages from your book. And I wanted to say, with my near-death experience, one of the questions that has come up often is, some people say, well, is there really past lives? And when I had my near-death experience, I was so young, I had no idea what a past life was, let alone religion, really, because I was 4 years old. And so when I got into the light, I started having all these flashes and memories and scenes flashing before my eyes, and they all felt like me, but it was different times and different places and different images. And I remember at one point asking in my head, who am I? And I heard the voice in my head, not my voice, sounded male to me, sounded like an authority voice, and said, you are all of them. And of course that made perfect sense, because I had felt like all of these flashes were me. They were all me. And so when I got that answer, it was like, oh, yeah, okay. That made perfect sense. Now, so to me, there was no question. And of course, since then, I've remembered several of my past lives, and I do regressions for people, so I've helped other people remember their past lives. And it's wonderful to see the connections and the puzzle. This life is just a piece of the puzzle, and we get to see the relevance of some of the things here that we can't even see unless we look at the whole bigger picture and see where we've been. and how those ties relate to where we are now. And it does a lot of healing and a lot of good to know these things. So for me, they're definitely real, and for many others, I've done about 100 or more regressions, and it's very interesting work, and it is very healing.
Oh, very good. You reminded me of a few things about the Revelation 4 diagram. It talks about somebody sitting on the throne, surrounding by these four beasts and the 24 elders and the emerald ring that encircles. I mean, all of those are descriptions there. But what's most important there is that a lot of the Christians think, oh, that must be Jesus. Jesus Christ, as they would call it. I call him Jesus the Christ, because really we're all Christ, and we're the ones that are sitting on the throne. Whether you're a god or a goddess, this is where the energy arises. What Revelation 4 diagram is a study about how can we place full authority in the one that matters the most, which is us. In reality, we are that center of the universe. All things revolve around us. We are actually the very center of the Revelation 4 diagram on a mathematical, rainbow-oriented connection. All of these 7 circles interlink at our heart center. So as we sit upon this throne, then all things start to come together. At the end of that chapter, it talks about how the 24 elders and the 4 beasts all come together and bow down to the center. Well, at the very center of this energy field is us, each one of us. So don't take your authority light. All of us are given this power. We are the rainbow being in so many different ways. And Christ didn't come here to to say, he was the one. He came here to tell us that we are the ones, and that greater things can be done, even greater things we can do than he even did it, as we're on our path of evolvement. Each of us have been empowered, and the rainbow is our promise of that, and that's why the rainbow is used within these studies. Actually, the word rainbow is mentioned only a couple times in the whole this massive book called I call it the Christian Bible, because it's just one religion, but it appears in that chapter as one of the it says the bow that surrounds with these colors. Paraphrase here. It's been a little while since it's there, but it's only one of the few times that it's there. So at the end of that chapter is the promise that it's all going to come together. It's all going to work out for the highest and best of everybody in the Gaia, and everybody is going to come together in an energetic fashion as we all connect to higher and higher levels. That's what this whole photon belt is about right now. It's raising consciousness, it's bringing us to higher planes, it's allowing us and reminding us that we remember who we truly are, and that person is the rainbow being. It is the goddess, it is the God that you truly are, and you truly are sitting at the center of the throne.
It is. It's a wonderful message, and you're right, that was the message that got so misinterpreted in so many ways.
Okay. What else you got?
I don't know. Is there a question? There's a big comment from somebody.
We finally got a question about that.
If too personal, please ignore this question. Wonderful compatible. Did your paths cross by chance? Did this happen? Do you feel that your paths were meant to cross, or life events, random chance, and we make our own luck? Well, I have to say that the answer is both. There are many things we choose before we get here. We do have a contract, a life path that is pre-chosen from the other side before we get here. Things we want to learn, things we want to work on, things we want to experience, or are part of our actual mission that we've agreed to. And so we do have people that are pre-chosen, that are destined to be in our life, and those people are definitely going to be in your life. There's other things along the way where we get free will and free choice while we're here, and we can choose to, take that class or meet that person, or, have free will while we're here. But definitely the things that are pre-chosen are usually, they're, how do you call it, irrefutably you're going to meet those people, they're going to be in your life. So there is a definite planning stage before we get here, and we do choose a lot of those things. Even some of the things that you would think, oh, who would ever choose that? That's crazy. Nobody would choose that. You'd be surprised what you choose when you can see the bigger picture, and when you can see how it will help and affect other people, and when you see how you benefit from it in the long run. So we do choose a lot of things that you may think, well, that sounds crazy. Who would ever choose that? Yeah, you'd be surprised. I know you get here and go, what was I thinking? That definitely happens, but we really do choose from a higher perspective and seeing a bigger picture. So we really are not victims. We don't usually have things that happen that our soul is not aware of or can make good use of. There are things that turn out, they're not perfect, they're not ideal, but your soul will make a way to make it positive, to learn a lesson, to make something good out of it. And there's no opportunity wasted that cannot be turned into something positive. So how would you answer that?
Well, I'm not sure you actually got there, but all good information, of course. It's talking about did we meet by chance?
No.
Or did you feel your paths were meant to cross, or life's a random chance, or luck? Well, I'm not a big believer in luck. I think everything is synchronistic. If you study the law of quantum physics, you know that everything affects everything else. So on the superconscious level, we're already lining up. We've lined up for many lifetimes. There's certain soul groups that we follow around, certain soulmates and twin flames that will come together over lifetimes. So all of these are alignments. But having said that, there are people that come into your life. In the way the cliche goes, it's either for a reason or a season or for a lifetime. And each person has a different a certain place in your life, and we just go with the flow. We allow, we take the best out of what we're given, and we always try to honor people, because you never know. This could be an angel that's coming into your life. It may be just for a reason or a season, or perhaps a lifetime. We don't really know. So I think that there certainly for people that have a strong connection to each other, there's a predestination there that we're being pulled on, and whether you're across the street or across the world from this person, especially in this day of internet, you're going to find a way to start making connections. We met on internet, and I think that thousands of people are, and this is why the borders and all of this are starting to go away now, because the earth is just getting too small now. Souls are being drawn together from throughout the earth right now. The destinies being made for these people. No longer do heart flames and twin flames, soulmates, no longer do they have to be apart, perhaps in physical for a season, but as the borders and different things begin to open up, we're going to find more and more people being drawn together, being able to fulfill their destinies and their missions. So we're really living in a great world right now. I don't really believe in luck. I believe in destiny. destiny. I believe in energetic, conscious connections that are going on that are constantly drawing us together to be with those that we love and cherish the most in this earth right now. So really very exciting times that we're going through right now. Glad to be a part of this. I know it gets a little hard for people that are saying, you know, when am I going to meet the one type of energy? Because we're all trying to return to the one, whether that one is just ourselves, finding our true love in ourselves, or perhaps there's another person, being a male or female. You know, sex doesn't really have a lot to do with this. These are all soul connections. These are love connections that are drawing people together, and within love and within consciousness there is no time and distance. All of these connections are being made, and then they're gonna, you know, as 5D becomes part of our reality, and it's becoming so strong right now, these connections are going to be stronger, more profound, more amazing than ever. You know, we can literally choose out of the 8 billion people that one person that makes us connect, and perhaps it's not just one person. Maybe your twin flame is several people, or there's several people that really bring you to this higher plane of existence that puts you on your mission path. Don't ever limit yourself by thinking that there's only one for you, when there may be several people that are meant to cross your paths, either for a reason or a season or a lifetime. All of this is very important. As we keep our heart open, as we allow it to flow into the divine destiny that we are, we're going to be guided on our mission. We're going to fulfill what needs to be fulfilled. So, you know, keep the faith, you know, try not to get too lonely out there, you know, just, you know, work on yourself. If that person hasn't surfaced in conscious levels yet, then just keep working on yourself. Do the meditation, do the diet, do the holistic work, and raise your vibration. And as you raise your vibration, and get away from fear and lack, and start dwelling in abundance and fulfillment and happiness and joy, you're going to start attracting those type of peoples into your life. So you're going to start attracting that one person, that twin flame or soulmate into your life. So, you know, just remember that there's so much more to you, and so much more in the etheric fields that is not really being shown to you right now. And the one that we need to love the most is ourselves, and grow within that. That's going to allow us to rise to a higher path. And I see Eric may have followed up on our question. You want to read that? You got to read it aloud so our audience sees it.
I've met people whom I felt I was meant to meet in this life, and wondered if our paths crossed with this person. Sometimes I've wondered if this person was or will be someone else.
Nobody can hear you. You got to speak louder.
Yeah, you know, I think David touched on something earlier when he said, mentioned soul family. And there's going to be probably within your lifetime several people that you're going to meet that you feel a connection with, and you feel like you've known them before. And they feel comfortable, they feel like family. And it's really because we do know them on so many levels, from past lives, even from life on the other side. And they are our soul family. And often they turn up as friends, partners, family members in some way. And doing the past life regression work I've done, you know, it's often that we realize that this group of people we've been with have been with us in many lifetimes. You know, I know that my brother in this life, he'd been my father a few times. My mom had been my younger brother once. My youngest son had been my father one time. So in different capacities, these people come back into our lives. And if we've had problems with them before, if there's issues we haven't settled in other lifetimes, we're given. We can see the correlations and why they're in our life this time. It's to have another chance, another opportunity to make things right and to work out whatever you were working on in the past life, or another age or another era. And we get a whole new opportunity to make peace with this person, love this person, and come to terms with whatever it is we needed to work on. So there's going to be so many people that you feel this way about, and you just know them. You recognize something in them. There's some quality, there's some comfort level, and there's going to be many of them in your life.
No, I was just reading Eric's comment. Thank you, Eric, by the way, for
Yes, thank you.
You've always been one of our best commenters, and most people are not brave enough to do that. Oh, what happened?
Oh, what'd you do?
I have no idea. I hope I didn't kill it. I touched something.
I think there you go. Yeah. You flipped our screen. There we go.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Okay, that was funny. So much for scrolling. So, yeah, so I think we covered Eric's question pretty well.
Yeah. You know, there's a scene in my book where I remember literally being in the planning stage of this lifetime, coming to this lifetime, and certain things were being planned out, and they would show you certain scenes and certain things that were going to happen, and you know, and then we basically forget it. We forget it. We get here, and we act like we don't really know what's coming. But really, our soul has a map, and that map is within our soul. And if we listen to the guidance that we're given, it's there for us. If we sit in those quiet moments and ask, you know, in the middle of a decision, is this for me, or is this, you know, detrimental to me? Your soul will show you by your feelings what it is, what is right for you. And even if you don't even understand the answer at the time, it will come to pass. It will come to make sense at some point in your life. There was just so many things that in my life I got messages about that didn't make sense at the time, but you know, a few years later you're thinking back going, oh yeah, that message, yeah, that's exactly what happened. And we do have a map. A lot of our life has been predestined. We do have a mission, a fate, a list of accomplishments that we're here to work on. And if you're listening to your soul's going to keep pushing you to get that list done and to make it so that when you have a life review, you're going to look back and think, okay, I did all the things that I came here to do. And you're going to feel accomplishment with that.
Well, that's always where we want to end up at. I know. I think for it, you know, I'm a bit indigo myself, crystalline rainbow type of child. But you know, I think just dwelling on the indigo, you know, we look at our lives and we think that we want to accomplish so much more. There's always that next venue, that next thing we look at it and we say, well, how could I have done this a little bit better? So I think people like this, environmentalist conscious people, are you know, perhaps they live in a bit of a life of unsatisfaction. There's always you know, always saying, oh, I wish I could have done this better, or I wish I could do this better, I wish I could live here, or I wish I could do that. And what you know, we begin to realize that, you know, we just need to mellow out, I guess would be a word, because it's all going to flow together. And I think it's great to be driven. There's a lot of driven people out there, as long as it's not driving you or other people crazy in your impulsive behaviors. And maybe that's a good thing anyway. I remember watching that one young Crystal Child on the Fab Five. What's the name of the show we was watching? The Fab Five?
Oh, Queer.
Oh, Queer Eye, yeah. And she was so driven. I mean, and that's why she got a spot in the show, doing these remarkable works. But you know, she wasn't taking care of herself or with eating right, sleeping right, and just always work. Not enough play. Yeah. And you know, so we got to find balance in our lives. You know, take some time to play and relax. Find some time for yourself. And you know, the world's going to take care of itself. I honor and respect peace people out there that they're willing to put their lives on hold and get out there and really change the world. But you know, do it with a sense of joy and a sense of purpose. Don't let it overwhelm you. Yes, there's a lot of ugliness out there, but you know, we're still just one person. So you know, take care of yourself. Find some peaceful spots. Keep your vision high, and you know, work hard if you want to. A lot of times that is your joy, and I think it's all going to work out. We're going to get over there on that other side, which is what I think our topic was at this moment, and look back at this and say, yeah, we really did do a great job, and we if anything, we just needed to relax a little bit more because we you know, the things that we're doing were really amazing and wonderful.
Well, that's true. We're so hard on ourselves. We are actually our own judges, and we are the harshest judge and the only judge, really, when we look back on our lifetimes. But we have to realize that when you can see it from the other side, and you see the energetic picture that we've lived, we see things we didn't see here, and we are hard on ourselves. And we do have to realize that sometimes a lot of what we do is energetic, and we don't see the effects or the ripple effects from that and how that energy plays out. We just don't get that vision. You know, I've done a lot of readings, and I feel I've helped a lot of people, and it's really nice the odd time when, you know, somebody used to come back to me after 2 years and say, oh, you know, your reading helped me so much, and it was so wonderful and accurate, and everything was like you said, and it really affected my life. Well, that's great to hear, but for every person that said that, there was probably dozens that I never got to find out. I never heard from them again or saw them again, so you trust. And that's the way it is with probably most of the things we do. We just don't see the energetic imprint that it has. A lot of us are actually here. Part of our mission is to just transform energy. We are here anchoring light into the earth, into the location we're in, taking negative energy, transforming it into positive energy, and that is a lot of the work we do. And that doesn't require anything but being here, being now. And we have to realize there's more than what we see going on, and to realize we can't really do it wrong. We're going to accomplish the most we can with where we're at, and to just relax and let it flow, as you were saying.
Very important. I see Eric there's another comment here. I'll go ahead and read that.
Okay.
In your India experience, the souls that you met there, have you felt that these souls, I got distracted there, were souls that, have you felt that were important to you in a past life or perhaps this life? When your path crosses with somebody, let's see more, it's a little challenging on this little screen. When your path crosses with somebody, do you ever wonder if this soul you met is one that you will meet in the hereafter? Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty easy answer on that.
I mean, people that are close to us are definitely the people we're going to resonate with. If we resonate with them here, we're going to resonate with them on the other side as well. And often, as I mentioned, those people are from our soul family. And we're going to continue in whatever way suits us. You know, they're going to be there to meet us, or we're going to be there to meet them, depending on our timelines. And yeah, we really are connected by love and by our past experience together and what brought us joy. So I know that several of the guides I have, a couple of my guides for sure, they are well known to me in past lives, and so we have a closeness. We were like family in past lives, and they're still here to guide me in this life. And I found that with other people I've dealt with too, and people that I've talked with, their guides are often people that were in their past lives. They were a parent, a grandparent, a child, a sibling, somebody, usually, and often a spouse in a past life, end up being your guide in this life. So there's always those wonderful connections of love. They span time and space.
Well, and you know, I sometimes just live in this 5D reality a lot more than most people. So when I'm thinking about the hereafter, well, the hereafter is really just as thin as the veil that is between the 5D and the 3D reality that we find ourselves in. And so a lot of these people are just, they're crossing over. We call them dead, but they're really not dead. They're just as close as they ever were. Yeah, their bodies have drifted away, and they're more in an energetic body now. But that doesn't mean that their soul isn't just as alive as it ever was. So as the 5D comes down to the earth, as it is stronger and stronger all the time, we're going to start feeling these connections on the other side a lot stronger. The veil is literally being thinned right now, and no longer do we have to wait to make these connections. They're going to be here instantaneously. They're drawing even among the living, so-called living 3D people here. We're being drawn together by the 5D all the time. We connect with people in our dreams. There's psychic messages. We get an impression about people. All of these communication channels, also known as 5D connections, are being put right in front of us. This is the new form of communication. It's just going to get stronger and stronger on other solar systems, other planets, and believing there's trillions of them. They communicate all the time without moving their lips. It's all done through psychic. There's no really sense of death anymore. Maybe the physical will go away, but there's no separation. Just because the physical body moves on in these other planets or solar systems, they're not really separated. They're just as strongly there as ever. They've just perhaps have taken on a different form. All of these things are what we're moving towards here on Earth at this time. So I invite everybody just to start realizing that we are not this body. That the body is just a temporal thing. It is the soul that connects everything, and this soul is a fifth dimensional being. It doesn't really know about this hereafter or death or anything. It's just going to live forever. It's going to communicate freely and amazingly with whatever and whomever it wants to. So it just I invite people to start living in this 5D reality, because overall that's the that's the real reality. This physical thing is just a temporal thing that is just here for a little bit of schoolroom experience.
It's true, and when we remember that we are all one, that there is nothing we see or experience that is not actually part of us. I think for me that helps take fear away as well, because everything you see, no matter how scary it may look, is a reflection or a shadow of yourself. And if we can face ourselves, then we can face anything else that seems to be out there, that we've attracted to ourselves. And we really are all one. So yeah, it takes fear away from me.
Very good. I think we're down to our last several minutes. I know we started about 5 after today. As hard as we try to get started on time, but we always go right about exactly an hour. And we've got about 5 minutes left right now, and a little bit too early for the credits. You want
I was going to say that
focus anything else?
You mentioned how the veil is thinning. I've experienced that even in the last several years, that there's so many more people now that are aware of spirit around them than what used to be. I think I've had people that would call up and say, I think there's something in my house. I think I need to clear out some ghosts or something in my house. And it seemed like it was getting more prevalent. And, at first I questioned this, why is there so many all of a sudden? It really isn't that there was so many more, ghosts around or hauntings or paranormal activity. It was that people were aware of this paranormal activity. It had been there for centuries, and people just were not aware of it. And suddenly so many more people were aware of it, realizing, oh, I bought this new house and I think it needs to be cleansed, and I think I'll get someone in to tell whoever doesn't belong here anymore to go home to the light. And it's really a wonderful thing that so many more people are aware of these things, and so many spirits actually have crossed over and gone back to the light, that really sometimes we're not aware that they didn't belong here anymore and needed that little help to get over to the other side. And so I've seen that veil thinning a lot over the years, where many more people are aware of spirit where they weren't before.
Oh, that's very true. As the 5D reality begins to connect with us more and more, this is really what all the Earth changes is about. Is that this photon belt is bringing an actual light energy into each and every atomic particle of which we're composed of, we're made of. So we are becoming more and more of the light, more and more 5D all the time. So things like psychic communication, spirit communication, anything of the etheric nature is going to be more and more prevalent as we move into this time. So for those that are not quite ready, you're going to get a sense of craziness as you try to hang on to the 3D old and crumbling system as best to, as the native prophecy says, is to let go of the bank and free flow with the river, because it's by hanging on to the past that we really are going to be challenged. Hanging on to the 3D as it used to look is going to be really challenging at this time. Better to get more esoteric, more etheric, more 5D oriented, and this is really where the whole world is going to move. So, live love to the fullest, and as you live love to the fullest, all else is going to be added, because, in reality, the universe is love, the universe is light, and this is the guiding principles that is changing our earth right now. And, the clarion call is here. It's just we need to wake up and smell the coffee and join the 5D reality.
And as I said a long time ago here at the beginning, stay present. Your power really is in the present. It's now. And that statement, I guess it's Eckhart Tolle that said, the power of now, the book he wrote, is where we're at. Now is all that exists. So stay here and stay in your power.
Very good. So I think we can do our credits. You want to go first? You want me to today?
You go first.
Okay. We always like to mention our books. A lot of the reason I do this is to get the Rainbow Promise out to everybody. This is the book, The Rainbow Connection, and I invite anybody to get a copy of that. This is the color version of that, a little pricey, but you can also get the PDF, the Kindle e-version, and find out about that. There's tons of excerpts from it on my websites at rainbowequation.com, also at rainbow.guru. You can find a lot of information on that. If you're in the Sedona area, we're down here in Camp Verde in the very shadow of the mountains of the great Sedona area. Right here on Main Street, 365 Main Street. Look for the Main Street Studios. We're right in the back there. We do card readings, Reiki, life coaching, and of course we have our shop full of crystals and everything you might need to help you along your path. So hope to find some of our listeners down here and start enjoying our what we've are hoping to bring to the world in our own little way.
And my book is There Is Love, My Near-Death Experience and Beyond, and that's available on Amazon, and my blog is deborahchristielove.wordpress.com, and you can look on mysticmuseonline.com and find links to all of our books, and also my CD, which There Is Love, or Love Will Find a Way. And the CD has 8 of my original songs, and hopefully you enjoy those. They were all channeled messages and became music. So another way to express. and hope you enjoy.
Sounds good, and thank you, Eric, for being here and keeping the comments going. We need more people like you. And as a finishing comment from Eric, said perhaps another occasion, could you further explain 5D concept and philosophy? Well, I think that's our whole show. We do the best we can with that.
Well, thank you for next week.
But we'll certainly be thinking about that. It's kind of a natural discussion for myself, but I'm so excited people like yourself that will ask these deep questions and make us dig deeper into our realities, because we're actually students ourselves in this great mystery called life.
And what I'm getting with that is that I'll maybe talk about next week more of some of the differences that lie between 3D and 5D and the different experience you'll have there.
Yeah, very, very true. Well, I think that's our show. We're at about an hour right now. Thanks for all of our loyal viewers out there. Watch for the replays going into the hundreds now. We're circulating on YouTube when we get a chance, and just a lot of different places. So thanks a lot. In Canada, have a great Thanksgiving weekend, and just take care of yourself. See the light and be the light.
Okay. See you next week.